Some kids get a savings account for their 12th birthday. I got a debt I never agreed to, a name I couldn't trust, and a lesson that took me 9 years to turn into a weapon. My name is Lily Rose, and this is not a drama. This is what happened when I picked up the phone and called the FBI on my own father. I remember the day exactly because it was raining. Not the soft kind. The kind that makes you press your forehead against the window and wonder if the sky is angry at someone specific. I was 12 years old, wearing a purple hoodie that was 2 sizes too big because my mom said I would grow into it. Spoiler, I never did. My father came into my room that evening. He had this way of smiling that never reached his eyes. You know the type. It's the smile people wear when they need something from you, but don't want to say it directly. He had a single piece of paper in his hand, white, folded once, innocent looking. He said, "Lily, sweetheart, I just need you to sign something for school. It's just a permission form." I didn't think twice. I was 12. At 12, you still believe that adults have a secret manual they follow. You think every rule has a reason. You think your father wouldn't hand you a pen and ask you to write your name on something that would later feel like a ghost following you into every room. I signed it, Lily Rose, in my best handwriting, the kind I practiced for when I would become a famous writer someday. He kissed my forehead and walked out. I went back to watching the rain. That was it. That was the moment. Fast forward. I am 17 now. I haven't thought about that paper in 5 years. Life moved. My parents separated. My father moved to a different state. I stayed with my mom in a small apartment that smelled like coffee and hope. We didn't have much, but we had enough. I was applying for colleges, dreaming about dorm rooms and library nights, and a future that felt like it belonged to me. Then the letters started coming. Not the pretty kind in pastel envelopes. These were white, official, the kind that make your stomach drop before you even open them. The first one said my name, Lily Rose, and a number. $290,000. I actually laughed out loud because I thought it was a mistake. I was 17. I had never even had a credit card. I didn't even know how to file my own taxes. I threw it away. The second letter came a month later, then the third, then calls, voicemails from numbers I didn't recognize, words like default and collateral and legal action. Words that sounded like they belonged in someone else's nightmare. I told my mom. She went pale. Not the dramatic movie pale. The real kind. The kind where the blood leaves their face so fast you can almost hear it rush away. She sat me down and said, "Lily, I need to tell you something. And you are not going to believe me at first." That was the understatement of my entire existence. She explained that my father had opened multiple accounts in my name. Loans, credit cards, something called a business line of credit that I didn't even know existed. He had used my social security number, my name, my birthday, all of it, and he had been doing it since I was 11 years old. 11. I couldn't process it. I sat on the floor of my bedroom, the same purple hoodie long gone, replaced by a gray sweater I had saved up for, and I stared at the wall. For 3 hours. My mom brought me tea. It went cold. She brought me toast. I didn't touch it. I was not angry yet. That came later. First I was confused. Then I was embarrassed. Then I was something worse. I was ashamed. Because somewhere in my 17-year-old brain I thought, what did I do wrong? Why didn't I read that paper? Why did I trust him? And that is the cruelest part of identity theft from a parent. The victim always finds a way to blame themselves first. I called my father that night. My hands were shaking. My voice cracked on the first word. I said, "Dad, there are letters. They say I owe money. Almost $300,000. Do you know anything about that?" Long pause. Then he laughed. He actually laughed. And he said, "Lily, don't worry about it. That's just business stuff. I'll fix it. You focus on school, okay? You're too young to understand this." Click. He hung up. That was the last time I spoke to him as my father. After that, he became something else. A case. A number. A name on a file. I spent the next 4 years trying to fix it myself. I called the banks, I called the credit bureaus, I filled out forms that made my head spin, I wrote letters, I sent copies of my birth certificate, my ID, my school records. I proved over and over and over again that I was Lily Rose and that I had never signed up for any of it. And you know what happened? Nothing. Almost nothing. They would remove one account, and 2 more would appear. They would say they were investigating, and then they would stop returning my calls. One banker actually said to me, and I will never forget this, "Ma'am, are you sure you didn't know about these accounts? Your father said you were helping him with the business." My father had a business. That was news to me. By the time I turned 21, I had done everything wrong and everything right. I had cried on the phone with customer service representatives. I had yelled at a bank manager in a lobby full of strangers. I had paid for a credit monitoring service that just sent me alerts I couldn't do anything about. I had lost 2 apartment applications because my credit score looked like a phone number. I had been rejected for a student loan. I had watched my friends buy their first cars while I couldn't even open a checking account without a cosigner. And my father? He was living in another state, driving a new truck, posting photos of himself on vacation. Smiling that same smile that never reached his eyes. One night, I was sitting in my car outside my mom's apartment. It was late. Rain again. Funny how the universe likes symmetry. I was eating cold pizza from the night before and I was so tired. Not physically tired. The other kind. The deep bone exhaustion that comes from carrying something that was never yours to carry. I opened my phone. I don't know why I did it. Maybe desperation. Maybe stubbornness. I typed something into the search bar. What to do when your parent steals your identity. And I found a page. A government page. Not a blog. Not a forum. The real one. FBI, Internet Crime Complaint Center. I read the page 3 times. Then I read it again, and I realized something that should have been obvious from the beginning. I was not going to fix this with polite phone calls and carefully written letters. I was not going to talk my way into justice. I had been playing nice while my father had been playing a completely different game. So I made a decision. I called the FBI. Not a local office, not a hotline. I called the field office in the city where my father lived. I sat in my car with the rain tapping on the roof, and I dialed the number. A woman answered. She had a calm voice, the kind of calm that comes from hearing terrible things every day and still choosing to be kind. I said, "My name is Lily Rose, I am 21 years old, and I need to report my father for identity theft that started when I was 11. She didn't say, "Are you sure?" She didn't say, "That's a serious accusation." She said, "Okay, Lily, tell me everything, start from the beginning." And I did. I told her about the rainy day, the purple hoodie, the paper, the signature, the letters, the phone calls, the banker who didn't believe me, the nights I cried into my pillow so my mom wouldn't hear. The future that kept shrinking. I talked for 47 minutes. She listened for all of them. When I finished, she said, "Lily, you did the right thing. We're going to help you. But I need you to understand something. This is going to take time. And when we move forward, there is no going back. Your father will likely face federal charges. Are you prepared for that?" I closed my eyes. I saw his face. That smile. That paper. The way he kissed my forehead like nothing was wrong. I said, "I have been preparing for this for 9 years. The investigation took 11 months. I won't lie and say it was easy. There were days I wanted to withdraw everything. Days I thought about calling him and saying, 'Just pay it back. Just fix it. I don't want you to go to prison. I just want my life back.' But I didn't call, because here is the truth that took me almost a decade to learn. You cannot protect someone who never protected you. The agents found everything: bank records, signed documents, dates and times, and digital footprints. My father had opened over 15 accounts in my name. He had taken out loans for cars I never drove, credit cards for purchases I never made, a business line of credit for a company that didn't exist. He had even used my name to rent an apartment in a city I had never visited. And the worst part, he had done it so casually, so easily, like my identity was just another resource, like my name was just another tool. The day they arrested him, I was at work. I worked at a small bookstore then, shelving novels about families and forgiveness and complicated fathers. The irony was not lost on me. My phone buzzed. A text from the agent. It's done. 3 words. 9 years of wait. I didn't cry. I didn't cheer. I just stood there in the fiction aisle, holding a book with a blue cover. For the first time in almost a decade, I breathed like someone who wasn't hiding. He pleaded guilty. Federal charges. Identity theft. Wire fraud. Bank fraud. The judge asked him if he had anything to say. My father looked at me. Really looked at me. Probably for the first time since I was 11 years old. He said, "I never meant to hurt her. I just thought I would pay it back before she found out." The judge didn't look impressed. Neither did I. He got 4 years, restitution, a lifetime ban from opening accounts in anyone's name but his own, and a criminal record that would follow him everywhere. I sat in that courtroom, and I felt something I didn't expect. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't revenge. It was something quieter. Something like relief. Like finally setting down a bag you didn't realize you had been carrying. The debt didn't disappear overnight. But with the FBI report, with the court records, with the weight of a federal conviction behind me, the banks started listening. One by one, the accounts came off my credit report. It took another year. More forms, more phone calls, more patience than I knew I had. But eventually my credit score became my own again. My name became my own again. I am 23 now as I am telling you this. I live in a small apartment with yellow curtains and too many plants. I work at a different bookstore. I am taking classes online, slowly, one at a time. I am rebuilding. And my father? He writes me letters sometimes. Long ones, full of apologies and excuses and explanations I didn't ask for. I don't open them anymore. My mom reads them first. She tells me if there's anything I need to know. There never is. Some people have asked me if I regret it. Calling the FBI. Putting my own father in prison. And I tell them the same thing every time. I didn't put him in prison. I just refuse to carry the weight of them anymore. If you found out tomorrow that someone you trusted had stolen your future piece by piece, would you have the courage to call? Or would you spend years trying to protect them from the consequences of their own choices?